Thank you for tuning in to the Survivor Not By Chance podcast. We discuss survivor stories from all walks of life with guests who have turned their traumatic experiences into inspirational stories. The show is for entertainment purposes only. We do not claim to be medical professionals, nor do we give medical advice. Let's get started. Come on in and enjoy the show.
Let's meet Asia Carroll, host of Survivor Not By Chance podcast. Asia is the author of The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond. She is a life coach here to help you through life's issues. Asia is also a psychic medium. Let her dive into your future. Contact Asia at www.survivornotbychance.com.
Welcome to Survivor Not By Chance podcast. I'm your host, Asia Carroll. Thank you so much for joining me each and every week with new episodes and different topics. If you're watching me on YouTube, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so that way you can get the notifications when I'm going to be recording and putting out podcasts and any other content that I put out. Also, if you're listening to any of my audio platforms, please like and subscribe to my audio platform so you don't miss any of the episodes for the podcast. This week, I wanted to talk about basically the same topic that I've talked about in the past is how do you get to your purpose? And I feel that it's important for us to talk about walking in your purpose multiple times because everyone's purpose is different. And not only that everyone's purpose is different, it is hard to find out how to walk in your purpose. So it's definitely a conversation we're going to have again tonight with my special guest, Kadi. Kadi, she used to be one of my clients, and she is soaring and like flourishing, and I'm so proud of her. So we're going to bring her on in just a minute. We have Facebook user says hello to you, whoever you are. Sorry, I don't know your name. It's not telling me your name, but here we go for the collective reading. Let's see what Spirit has for us today, or tonight rather, depending on the time that you're watching this video. Oh, okay. Let's see. And so we're talking about walking in your purpose, and literally these cards are aligning. So primarily, this card says Dust Devil, moving out of stagnation. So be sure that you're moving anything out of the way that is blocking you from your purpose, anything that does not feel right, any situation that doesn't sense that it should be there, or it's giving you a rough time. Then it's time for you to move forward and let go of people and situations that are holding you back. Sometimes we can't get to our purpose because we are holding on to too many people. Everybody can't go with you. Everybody does not belong with you and your destiny and your purpose. So it's very important to move any stagnant energy out of the way. Dances on one foot balancing act. We're talking about walking in your purpose. Like, how can you balance your life? How can you figure out what the balance is for you? Sometimes we're juggling too many things at one time. And if you have your hands full, how can you receive anything if you're already full? So you have to do like this card says, Dust Devil, moving things out of stagnation to make space so that you can balance everything. Once you're able to balance everything, this card says Detox, repairing the body, mind, and spirit. So then you have to go within. The more you go within, the more you're able to determine what your actual real purpose is. The more you're able to give to yourself, then you're able to determine who you are to the core. And once you determine who you are to the core, from there, you can move forward and determine what your purpose is. Cards are aligning. I love when these cards align perfectly with the topic that we're talking about at hand. So we have a couple of Facebook users with some hand claps, hearts. Come through, spirit. Queen Rochelle said, "Hey, Queen. Hey, Queen. Thanks for joining, Queen." We have another Facebook user that says, "Right with the strength arms." Y'all are giving me life tonight. I love y'all. Thank you for being here. All right, so we're going to bring Kadi up to the stream. Hello, Queen. Thank you for joining. One moment. I think you're muted.
I'm actually muted. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Asia. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. And so you have a phenomenal story in regards to walking in your purpose and learning how to get to where you are. And so just please share a little bit about yourself to our viewers and our audio listeners so they can know more about you.
Well, I am a mom. I'm a podcast host. My podcast is called Ask Kadi, the Voice of Reason. I'm also account manager for SiriusXM, and I have learned, now that we're talking about purpose, I had to learn throughout my journey that your purpose is not a career title. It is
Mm,
a gift that you are born with.
yeah.
And it can be transformed and used in any way possible, not just as a way to make an income, but a way to make an impact.
Yes.
Oh, that just came out of nowhere. I'm feeling the spirit today. But
Yes.
it was a journey. It was something that I had to learn because, originally when I went to college, I became a communication studies major. I always knew I wanted to inspire, and that I always knew I wanted to inspire, but I didn't know that saying that I want to inspire could be defined as a purpose. So I went
Mm,
throughout my life just trying to find career titles that fit into that, that feeling that I had. And it never really stuck. So when I was in college, I was like, I'm going to be a radio host. I want to be a radio host. And it's so crazy because my friend at the time, a good friend of mine, he's into business. So he's always looking at the next new trending thing. And he told me about podcasting back in 2010. And I had like a BlackBerry. I'm like, he's trying to explain it to me. And I'm like, he's like, I'm telling you, you should do it. Like people will listen to you. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. But in my head, it's like, I want to be a radio host. I'm going to do radio. And granted, by the time I graduated college in 2013, radio was slowly dying and like podcasting is here. So if I would have I guess not just listened to him, but understand that your passion is a gift. It is not just something that you do to make money, and it's not a career title. It's as simple as inspiring, or your purpose can be loving, or your purpose can just be bringing people together. It's like very simple things that God gave us to contribute to the world while we're here.
yes, such a beautiful introduction in regards to walking in your purpose. And I love how you said that your purpose is not based on a career type. So many of us basically define our success off of titles. And if you define your success off of titles, but you're not recognized for the skills and the abilities that you actually have, you will never have a title to match your skills and abilities. So I think that was very important. And the Facebook users and comments are really going in. Hello, hello, queens. Hello, queens. Peace and blessings, beauties. Your passion is your purpose. Walking your purpose. Very true. It's so much greatness in these comments.
Oh, I can't wait to go see him after. I don't have my Facebook up, but I
Uh,
appreciate it.
yeah. So what I want to talk about is let's talk about how when you work on your inner self, it allows you to see who you are more to the core.
Yeah.
And so I remember when you and I first met, like you have flourished, queen, like literally flourished. And so I thank you for even just coming on to speak about your coaching sessions with me and how it impacted you. So if you can, please just shed some light on the life coaching sessions we had, and not details, but how it actually impacted you to be where you are today.
Well, you definitely saved my life. Those sessions is definitely something that I didn't know how much I needed it, but I knew I was just the fact that this topic is about purpose. I was in a very fragile time in my life, in a transition phase, as what you called it, because when I graduated school, I was always the person that like dealt with my trauma by overachieving. So it's
Mm,
like you just keep working and just keep overachieving, and that's your way of not being still and
mm,
being able to really understand yourself, as most people
mm,
say. So, like during the pandemic, I was working. I was working at Nickelodeon. I lost that job during the pandemic, so I didn't have the career title that I used to like. Everyone know, oh, you work in media. That's cool. That's something that you can kind of hide behind. You know what I'm saying? Or define yourself as, because you didn't take the time to really know yourself. So I wasn't really working. I recently just relocated to a new state without a stable job. My relationship was just, everything was just shaky in my life. And I tried to find like so many things to associate the confusion that I was in. But
mm,
what I realized with my coaching session with you was really, I was in a transition phase where surviving was no longer an option. I had to live, and I had to, in order to live, you got to know who you are. And when you're in like survival mode, you're kind of like, you're kind of using your defense mechanisms as a way to get through life and
mm.
I guess, numb yourself in a sense.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was in a phase where I think God was just trying to show me something and tell me that I needed to be still. And your life coaching sessions is what kind of really like helped me kind of stand outside myself, because sometimes having that, just first of all, someone of your expertise and just like how gifted you are, but just to hear it from someone else, because like a lot of what you showed me, I knew, but I wasn't confident in, you
Mm,
know? So those live sessions definitely just changed my life, changed my perspective, and helped me get through the stillness that God wanted me to be in at the moment.
wow. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm,
I try to explain to people that when you're doing sessions, this is about you. Okay.
mhm.
And it's about your healing, it's about your journey. And when you do the work shows for itself in the long run. And so I'm going to tell everyone my sessions are not easy. I challenge my clients. Not only do I challenge, there was always homework of some
Right. Mhm. Right.
um, but you did a phenomenal job. You took direction very well. And let's talk about the after
Oh
effect.
yes. Yes. It's so crazy. So I said how I started. I was just in a shaky space with every area of my life. And I remember during some of our last sessions, I text you telling you I was like having an anxiety attack because I went from having no job to being hired for 2 full-time media jobs. So I was
Mm,
working as like a content scheduler for Discovery Plus, and then I got hired at SiriusXM. So I have 2 full-time careers I'm doing. I'm flourishing financially, which I was just on unemployment, just trying to make it by. And you would think that's like the happy ever after, but I text you because I'm like, I'm having an anxiety attack, because that's what really taught me that I was using my obstacles
mm,
as a fuel for purpose. And your purpose is not necessarily to suffer. Yeah,
right.
suffering is a part of life, is a part of growth. The obstacles are there to like grow us, but we're meant to live in abundance. And
Yeah.
I I didn't accept that.
Mm,
I think I've made my trauma so much about my identity, or a part of my identity, that now that I was in abundance, it was scary. It was
mm,
giving me imposter syndrome. It was like giving me a feeling like, oh my God, something bad. Like it doesn't feel right. Something bad, it has to be happening soon, because why is everything going better for me? Why am I feeling better? So the aftermath, I got the results that I was looking for and didn't even realize I wasn't ready for the results that we say, like, I'm trying to work hard to get this, or I'm trying to heal myself to get better. But once we get to that other side, it's like, okay, now you don't have the suffering or the obstacles to use as your identity. So now who are you really? Outside of the
mm,
obstacles, outside of the suffering, who are you? And that was a stage in itself that I had to go through, not just getting to the glory, but being able to accept it and
right.
own it.
Yeah. You actually moved like really quickly through your sessions. At one point, I'm like, okay, Queen, you got
You're
this.
like, oh, no, let me go yet.
But I saw how you were flourishing and, taking accountability and then applying the tools to your life. And to the point where you succeeded financially, exponentially, it's so quickly that it surprised you and both, myself. And we never know what the divine has for us.
Mhm.
But sometimes we just need people to help pull out of us what
Right.
we forget about ourselves. Uh,
Mhm.
I saw the greatness and you're living in the greatness now. So I want to talk about also um how you're literally an avid traveler.
Yeah. Yes, that's my thing.
Let's just talk about um, how did you mentally transition from being at a state of where you wasn't sure how things were going to work to being at such an abundant state to where you can avidly travel the world? How did you transition your mindset for that?
One, I had to learn not to take things personal, not to take life personal. Like, and when I say that, it's not to say not to take your life seriously, but honestly, the parts of us that we over obsess over is not what's going to matter at the end. You
Yes.
know, so I think traveling for me is therapy because it gives you a moment to like, it's whether you're traveling to another state, even to another town, like it allows you to disassociate because comfort doesn't give you clarity. Like
Right.
feels good, but it doesn't give you clarity. It isn't until you're uncomfortable that you really get a full understanding of life. And when you travel, yeah, it's nice and like you're on vacation, but naturally you're uncomfortable because you're in a completely new place you're not familiar with. So, the beginning is beautiful, like, yeah, I'm on vacation, but it's also this discomfort that brings a sort of clarity that becomes
Mhm.
therapeutic in a sense because all of a sudden nothing matters anymore. Like everything that you were stressing about at home or at your comfort zone no longer exists. You're just living, which is the only goal of life, just to live your best life.
Right.
Mm.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing. We have a Facebook user here that says, I be looking for something bad to happen, and all I get is blessings when you have only looked at your trauma, all you can see is bad. And then I started self love and my blessings started coming. That's right. When you start working on your self love, that's what help you get to your purpose. When you
Yeah,
start working on healing those inner parts of you that has had so much trauma, that's had so much pain, so much heartache, that's when you start to realize who you truly are to the core. Okay,
right,
you
right,
cannot walk in your purpose if you don't know who you are.
right, right.
And I
Absolutely.
think a lot of people miss that. So, at what point did you feel that you realized you were starting to recognize who you were to the core when you started to evolve?
Um, I think once I sat down and took inventory of just my overall life from childhood, because it's all about perspective. And like when you're living it, sometimes we forget to stop and take inventory of just everything that happened. That's enough to tell you who you are. And there wasn't a moment in my life, even with my obstacles. My dad raised me as a single parent, my sisters and I, for 14 years because my mom was deported when I was 9. My family is originally from West Africa. She was a working woman. She went to work and they literally deported her while her kids were young. So just growing up with a single dad who had to work full time and was also an undocumented immigrant, it
Mm,
was just so much like trauma that I experienced, like, being away from my mom for 14 years. And then by the time we got of age, my sister was 18, so she was able to apply for her to come back into the US. It took about 6 years. And when she finally got that approval, my dad passed away before we got to reunite as a whole family.
yes, I'm so sorry.
So it was like, thank you. It was a lot of trauma, but when I look back, it's like I was so favored, like by God and by like just my life was so blessed with the circumstances that I was in. So I got to learn that okay, things always work out for me.
Yeah.
And the obstacles are only there to grow me for the next phase, because even like when I lost my job and was going on unemployment, it felt like a punishment. Like, oh my, I never not worked and everyone knows me for being in my career. Like I feel like a failure. And during that time, I practiced stillness. On top of practicing
Mm.
stillness, I became more financially stable because I'm going from a certain salary to unemployment. Anybody who knows unemployment pays you pennies. And
Yeah.
because I'm a mom, like it was just so much that I had to adjust to, that I became more responsible and had to, pay attention to things that I didn't pay attention to before. And that, what I thought was an obstacle, was really God giving me the alley hoop to prepare me for the next
Mm.
thing. Because my job ended up, like, they were planning to go back into the office after the pandemic. And literally a month before they made the announcement that we were going to go back, they said, oh, we're going to allow some people to work remote. I was one of the few that they allowed to be remote full time.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, I don't even know how I got selected, but I was definitely not like, just not mentally, I wasn't still in grind mode. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to work. But that stillness gave me comfortability with peace and relax. And like, I
Mm.
can have it all. I can work hard and still stay at home and be a full-time mom. And I can still travel and still work. Like, I didn't have that mindset before. Because in order to be a survival, you manifest struggle. Like
Mm.
when you're in survival mode, not to be a survivor,
Right.
when you stay
Right.
in survival mode, you're manifesting more struggle. You're preparing, to be prepare for danger. You're
Right.
manifesting danger. You're telling yourself, okay, something is about to happen, and I have to live this way to prepare for this bad thing that's about to happen. So yeah, once I realized that, I'm pretty blessed. Like things always work out, no matter how bad things gotten, it always worked out for me. And knowing that fact, not from arrogance, but just taking inventory of my life. Like there's
Yes.
been so many times where I can't mention a bad without the breakthrough. There's
Right.
always been the bad and then the breakthrough right after. And that's what kind of gave me that change. Like, okay, you know the facts now. So now, regardless of any obstacle I may be facing, I get that it's a bigger picture to what's happening.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You said so many amazing things, Queen. Um, Literally, when you realize that you are no longer in survival mode, that's the kicker right here. You're no longer in survival mode. You're surviving and have become a survivor for you to thrive and to live your best life the way it was designed for you to live it. And
Right.
so when you get to that point, you no longer allow mediocrity to stay stagnant in your brain. Like we literally had the card that said we're moving stagnation out of the way. We're
Mm,
moving stagnant energy out of the way. So when you're moving those subconscious blockages and start to reprogram your mind and learn who you are, everything is
mm.
possible.
So true. So
Everything is possible. So we have a couple of comments here. Yes, peace, love you too. Yes, trouble don't break us. We are building with love, joy, peace, and self. Ashe.
yeah,
Yes. So when you're walking in your purpose, you're literally all about balance. Okay. You talked about that stillness, being still, taking time for you, giving back to you, not really doing too much running around and,
right.
just being still with yourself. That's when you get those breakthroughs.
So true.
All right, so I want to talk about your podcast. Let's
Yeah.
talk about your podcast. And your podcast is Ask Kadi, the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, Queen. What's this podcast about?
Well, I came up with the podcast idea or the topic or the theme just based on understanding my purpose. So, it was a time in high school where, like,
Oh, I
I was
didn't even know that.
yeah.
Wow.
When I was in well, I didn't start it in high school, but when I was in high school, senior year, we had a theater teacher. I went to a performing arts school. So my theater teacher was asking, like, for all the seniors who were getting ready to go to college, do you know what your major is going to be? And all I knew is I wanted to go to college because I wanted to get my own room. And I was like, I wasn't even focused on the academic part, but I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to major in. And, sometimes we had back then, we just had that mindset that if you didn't pick your major, then you won't get the college
Right.
with you.
Yeah.
So you have to say, oh, this is my major. And he had the whole class, like, I raised my hand and said, I don't know what I want to major in. So he had the entire class go around and he asked, what is, for anybody who's ever worked with Kadi or is friends with Kadi or who knows her, what are the things that she's good at? And
Oh,
literally, it was about 30 people in the class, and it's always, oh, she gives good advice. She's good to talk to. She's wise. She's like that over and over and over and over. Like it was literally those same things going around. And he was like, okay, so that sounds like you could be a psychologist. And I'm like, okay. And I got to college, and after my second psychology class, I'm like, I did well in the class, but it's like, I don't want to do this for a living. Like, it's pretty boring. So moving along for fun, I was working when I graduated. I didn't initially find a job in my field, so I was just working at a call center, and I was like, I need to feel alive. Like, and now I'm in this routine of just going to work, coming home, going to work. Like, this is not what I was born to do. So I was like, I want to create a blog. And it started off with my friends, because I have a lot of friends and they always ask me questions or call me for advice. So I would ask them like, hey, can you text me? Because what they didn't realize is like a lot of people are going through the same things. So I have like my friend from college asking me advice about a situation. It's like my friend from childhood is in the same situation. I'm like, man, who's to say how many other people are going through this? So they will agree to text me. I'll make it anonymous and I will respond with my opinion and my perspective or advice. And it got really popular on Instagram, and that's
that
how it
was genius.
yeah, that's what led to me doing the podcast. And it's really, I used to go by the name Baby Oprah. So it's like the voice of reason, Baby Oprah. And it's really, it's like being the millennial Oprah, where we kind of talk about everything: relationships, jobs, spirituality, family, and just giving my perspective or some of the wisdom from my life, and just sometimes just my perspective on different things.
Wow, I love it. I've seen a couple episodes, and girl, you is
Thank you.
I love how you keep it real. You're very open. You give completely different perspectives. You're not closed-minded in how you're giving a perspective, because you can watch some shows or listen to some podcasts, and this person always have one view on on every topic. They're always one sided.
Right.
I love how you give different perspectives and you show different ways of how different outcomes can be, opposed to this is it, this is the end all be all. And so tell us more about like when you're airing your podcast, and different things like that, so we can know when the viewers can look and listen.
Yes, well, I'm starting a new season soon. I'm going to start recording in May, so it's the new season should start in June. However, I still have a bunch of episodes up. You can find it on Apple Podcasts under Ask Kadi, the Voice of Reason, or anywhere else that you listen to your podcast. But I'm starting a new season. Is a fresh start. I started out recording in my room. Like the first episodes are very organic, but the audio is so trash. And then it went from me getting a studio, and then like when I was in my stillness, I still wanted to practice my podcasting. But after a while, it becomes very like robotic, where it's like, okay, I gotta do my brain. And I just wanted to just do it for therapeutic purposes. Right. So I honestly wasn't even promoting it. I was just still recording from my phone and just talking about things that I was going through and just topics that were very, relevant in my life at the moment. And I was still getting listeners. I'm like, I'm not even promoting it. I don't want anyone to listen. I'm just doing it because this is my purpose. And your purpose is really just something that we have to operate in sometimes to feel alive.
Yes.
So yeah, you'll get very different stages when you do listen to the episodes. So definitely would love if you listen and subscribe, guys.
Yes. And the most important thing for me is that you actually started it and you're doing it and you're actively working on it. And it's also helping you personally as well as professionally.
Absolutely.
I started off the same way. I started off my podcast in 2019. And when I started, it was literally not for anyone else, but for me to document my story and my journey in order for me to heal. And when I did, I didn't realize people was going to relate to it until now. Like literally, I have viewers all across the globe now, and you really don't know how much of an impact you make in people's lives until you actually start.
Right.
And so I'm saying that to all of the viewers and all of the audio listeners. It's not about knowing your full purpose right away. We don't all know our full purpose right away. But the most important thing is that you start to walk in your purpose. When
Right.
your heart is pulling at you in something, when you're loving something that you're doing, that's when you know that you're starting to walk into your purpose. You
Right.
may know all of the tools and all of the things that you need to know to get to where you want to be fully, but it's the starting of
Yes.
walking in your purpose.
Right. Right.
You
I
will
just wanted to say something to that.
never.
It's crazy that we're talking about purpose. I have this, I don't know, idea that I just came up with, or just like this. As far as the question, what is my purpose? That's a struggle, a question that everyone has asked themselves or is still asking themselves in this lifetime. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, I really think there's only 5 umbrellas of different types of purposes, and it was to
Mm,
love, to create, to inspire,
mm,
to teach, and to love. Did I say love in the
mm.
beginning? But yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like it's what was the other one? Can't think of. Oh, one of those, but it's like 5.
I understand. Yeah.
Just to give an example, I feel like our purpose is really the gift that God gives us, or the purpose that we're born with, is really just the tool that we're supposed to use to navigate this journey of life.
Yes.
And it's always going to fall under like these generic umbrellas of either to create, to learn. Like, so I was thinking of examples of how I can fit this in. Okay, Beyonce, her purpose is not to be a singer,
Right.
it's to create.
Mm,
And in her creating, she is not only able to navigate through her life, we see her go through like a public divorce, and she puts in her music. Beyonce don't talk too much. She's not on Instagram, but she's able to navigate her journey through whatever obstacle she has to face through her creations, through her
mm.
performance. And it not only helps her, it helps other people. And the same thing for you with your podcast and why you started. You thought you were doing it for you, what you were, but it ended up being what also helps other people, and you're inspiring other people in your story. So I think God just put us here to do his work, and he gave us purpose as the tool to do it. And you
Right.
can apply that purpose to any skill and make money off of it, but that is not the overall goal of purpose to me.
Right. Oh, yes. I love it. And, I just want you all to also know that your purpose can evolve. Okay. Your purpose is going to evolve in different seasons of your life. Okay. So in 2010, your purpose may have been to, do A. And in 2022, your purpose may be to do B, or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
so when you evolve, don't feel guilty for changing or maneuvering and flowing into your purpose in a different manner. Now, I literally have accepted my purpose recently, Um, I am a medicine woman. I am the modern
Yeah.
day medicine woman. My purpose is to help souls heal.
To heal. That was my fifth one. To heal. Yes,
Yes.
that was my fifth one. Oh my God. Yes. To heal. Yes,
And
definitely.
so, when you walk in something that satisfies you, like I literally feel so fulfilled when I see my clients such as Kadi, flourishing and thriving in their purpose when I help them get to certain spaces. And
Mhm.
so it just feels so amazing to be a tool and to be a vessel to help people heal. Everyone's purpose is not to heal or
Yes.
help people heal. Your purpose may be to create, just like Hadi said. Your purpose may
Mhm.
be to love. Your purpose may be to bring peace. It's so many different things, but what resonates with your soul, that's your purpose.
Right, right. And you're gonna feel it. You know when you find your purpose because you feel alive doing it, whether you're getting paid for it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Kiddy, I'm so grateful for you being here.
Thank
If
you.
you all can please look her up on Instagram. She is Kadi__ on Instagram. Follow her. Uh, and subscribe to her because I know they have subscriptions. I don't know fully how it works just yet,
Oh yeah,
but
podcast. Yeah, you can listen if you are on. If you have an iPad, you can just go to your podcast app and search the podcast name X Kadi, the Voice of Reason, or listen if you have what's that? An Android, you can use Spotify, wherever you like to listen to your podcast. It's on all of the platforms.
yes, awesome. So we have a Facebook user says, "Can your purpose be multiple?" Yes, you can have multiple purposes. I have multiple purposes. And it's
Absolutely.
just that, in the beginning when we were speaking, KD said that your purpose is not necessarily a title.
Yeah.
Okay. So like if you get someone to actually be on their podcast, someone wants to interview you, they always want to know what your title is.
Yeah.
And I was always confused on what title to give because I have so
Oh,
many hats.
right.
Motivational speaker, I'm an author,
Right.
international author. It's so much that I do. So what do I give? Now my title is medicine woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that's just me. So each individual person would determine what their purpose is. It can be multiple things at one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say don't always feel like you have to have the word for it. Language is so limited to the experience. It's
Yeah.
just go with the feeling. If
Yeah.
it feels right to do at the moment, you don't have to put a stamp on it with a title. The
Yeah.
stamp is the feeling. If it feels right and you're like doing something in the moment, or you're being driven to work on something or to help someone or to love, whatever that purpose is at the moment, you serve it. Like time is man-made. It's not real.
Yes.
We're meant to be just present, and being present is really going with what feels right at the moment.
Yes. Yes. Ashe. Ashe. Yes, Candy. Yes. Yes, Queen. So we have Queen Ebony Townsend. Thank you so much for joining, Queen. She says, two beautiful women shining their light. Love it. Thank you. Oh, thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Queen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Queen. We appreciate you. And we
Absolutely.
have a Facebook user clapping their hands like, yeah. I love my viewers. You are so amazing. You are so engaging, and you come back week after week after week with questions and comments and support. I could not do this without you. You all are really the reason I do this. I'm not going to lie. Some days I'm like, I don't feel like recording.
Right.
But I come here and I give and give because we're giving to each other. We're learning together. We're growing together. We are survivors, not by chance. We are survivors because we fought to survive. And now we're thriving and
That's right.
living in our purpose. Okay. We
Yeah.
are all living in our purpose. Do not doubt your walk. Do not doubt your calling. Do not doubt what you're great at because what you're great at is more than likely part of your purpose.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts, Kadi?
Um, no, I really enjoyed. Thank you so much for having me on one, and definitely love the topic. Purpose is something, it's a never-ending conversation. So I just encourage you all to just like really just tap into yourself. Definitely tap into that stillness. If you haven't already, tap in with Asia as a life coach. I'm telling you, you'll get a lot out of it. But just never stop working on yourself. The purpose is growth overall. The overall purpose of life is to evolve and to grow into just you.
Yes, I absolutely love it. Thank you so much again for being here, Queen. I
So,
truly love you and I'm so
thank
grateful
you.
for you.
Love you too. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, y'all. This is the second time this month we talked about walking in your purpose. And this was ordained by God because I normally don't do the same topic twice, like in the same month. If I do, actually, I don't think I have. I don't think I have, but this was for someone. And if you go back and listen to the previous videos that I did in the previous podcast on walking in your purpose, you're going to see it's primarily different than what we discussed today, but it's also similar to what we discussed today. So if you haven't seen the podcast about walking in your purpose a couple of weeks ago, go back to those those podcasts and take a listen and watch them and see how they match and connect today, especially if you're looking to be able to walk fully in your purpose. So thank you all again. Facebook uses some more strong arms and stars. It says, God, I needed this tonight. Ashe, I'm so grateful this was helpful for you. Whoever you are, thank you for joining. So next week, I will have one guest next week. And then for the first week of May, I'm going to take a break, you guys. You all know that I will do podcasting for like 2 months straight, and then I'll take maybe a week or two break, and then I come right back. I will never leave you guys, but I do need breaks in between. And so I was on the Influence TV show competition. I made it all the way to the 4th round. It was a worldwide competition, y'all. Literally, they chose people from all over the world. And the fact that your girl made it to the 4th round of a worldwide competition, to me, that is a huge accomplishment, and I'm super proud of myself, and I'm super grateful for each and every one of you that have voted for me and sent me so much love and support. You all are so amazing. Thank you so much for the support. But I have some other things that I'm working in the background. I am now a practitioner to serve plant medicine. I serve plant medicine. I just did a retreat that was so powerful. Oh my goodness. If you go on my my Facebook and Instagram, you'll see a couple of clips of that retreat. I have another retreat coming up in June. There are only 7 slots. 7. Because I have to keep it small because of what I'm doing and the energy that I give out. We cannot have too many people. So it is first come, first serve. And there are already people putting dibs in for the retreat in June. And I haven't even finalized the date. So if you're interested in coming to the retreat, definitely send me a message or email me. My email address is survivornotbychance@gmail.com. So if you are interested in coming to any of the retreats or the events that I host, you can definitely send me an email. Again, I would like to thank you all for being here. I would like to thank you all for listening each and every week. Okay, Facebook user says, where will it be? It will be in the state of New Jersey. The retreat will be in the state of New Jersey. Eventually, I will get to the space where I'm able to fly out to different states. But right now, we're only keeping it small here in New Jersey. If you're interested, just definitely send me a message and I can give you more details and information. All right, so I will see you all next week. You all are so amazing. I love each and every one of you. And I'm sending peace and blessings to you all. Have a great night.
Thank you for listening to the Survivor Not by Chance podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to today's guest. We are survivors not by chance. We survive because we fought to survive. Peace and blessings to you all.